Hey, want to learn some cool Half-Life mapping stuff? No? Well, stick around, you won't regret it. Today we're going to talk about designing rooms, then we're actually going to construct one, and probably a few more, and then we're going to talk about connecting them, like how do you connect hallways, cut holes into walls, make doors and whatnot. You're going to learn some cutting techniques and get comfy manipulating vertices. Now, there may be a lot of stuff in this video, so don't worry if it's overwhelming. You can always take it easy piece by piece. And also, please do me a favor and read the manual. Whether you have TrenchBroom or J.A.C.K, it doesn't matter. TrenchBroom's manual is much nicer though. You can learn the shortcuts there, so I don't have to show them to you here. It's not like Blender where you have dozens and dozens of them, so it's kind of easy to learn. Anyway, let's start. In Gold Source, everything is a room, even outdoor areas if you imagine the sky as a ceiling or something. So the question is, how do we come up with a room that's kind of interesting? It's like it's not just a giant shoebox. Well, there's actually many considerations. You gotta pick a theme. Like, is it gonna be horror? Is it gonna be like an Ottoman era fortress? Is it gonna be a lab? And then you can think about the purpose of the thing. Like, what purpose does this room serve? Is it a residential area? Is it a storage area? Like, what is it? If you pick a storage area, then you're gonna have to think about making it maybe forklift accessible or truck accessible. Like, this stuff has implications, you know? You gotta make it believable. You gotta hide the fact that you're designing this for a video game encounter and whatnot. It's almost like you're actually designing a facility or something. Well, welcome to level design, I guess, where a little knowledge about a thing you're trying to build goes a long way for coherency. For your convenience, though, I'm gonna skip past some of that. We're gonna make something that roughly fits Black Mesa, maybe some room with servers that monitor some experiments. I mean, you can go crazy. You can make it about Zen hydroponics or something. It's whatever. Like, I got the hydroponics idea from System Shock 2, and oh, speaking of which, did you know there's a System Shock 2? Yak, 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 yak. Jeez, what a yapper. At this point, you might have a theme in your mind, maybe a type of location. And typically some people would draw concept art here, but if you can't do that, then it's also perfectly fine to get some reference pictures. These reference pictures don't have to be IRL photos. You can just open Stalker or Abiotic Factor or whatever, your favorite game, I don't know, and take screenshots for inspiration. Awesome. Now you gotta think about the overall shape. Is it like a simple rectangular room, or is it more cylindrical? Is it even symmetric? Is it like a polygon of some sort? I tell you what, let's make a really cool cluster of rooms that's based around an octagon in the middle. That's gonna be the center point. Okay, I drew like 4 rooms. Let's focus on the bottom one first. There is the ramp here. We're gonna have some height variation. If you focus on the shape, you can see it can be decomposed into a bunch of simpler shapes, mostly a bunch of rectangles with some of their corners clipped off. And finally a rectangle that gets squished going north. Oh, and a tiny little rectangle for the door area. Now I say rectangles, but in reality some of these are rhomboids, parallelograms, you get the idea. But as brushes, they do really start out as rectangles, and that's the main takeaway here. Basically, we're going to build the walls around the outline of these shapes. So in TrenchBroom here, I would just take a brush, maybe spawn a player for scale, and clone the brush until it roughly fits the dimensions. And then it's just a matter of cutting the corners. Click, click, enter, done. It's just, that's how it goes. In J.A.C.K, it's the same procedure, you just do it with different shortcuts in 2 dimensions. We're also going to create a helper brush here in the middle. It's going to be an octagon, and I'm going to use the cylinder primitive here. But you can also just spawn a square and clip its corners, no problem with that. That's how we used to do things before TrenchBroom got a certain update, which added these shapes. And then I'm going to use this octagon as a guide to make the cuts. Alright? This is pretty awesome. Now, if you want to change the shape, you may use the vertex tool, and to be honest, we're going to do this anyway for the ramp. You're going to select these few vertices here and drag them up. Okay, great. Now you can basically clone these brushes to get the ceiling. Ta-da! If you've made it this far, congrats. I'm proud of you. Just keep going. Now we're going to build some walls. I must note that for the purposes of texturing, walls should not overlap with the floor or ceiling. They should only meet at their edges. What I mean by that is, this is good. Like, this is clean, this is perfectly normal, this is fine. But this is bad. Please don't do that unless you have to, or you know it's fine, you know, there's always exceptions. But you get the idea. Stick to clean geometry because it's going to be easy to maintain later on. Especially if you try like adjusting the layout later. But anyway, we're going to simply create a new brush and make it span from the floor to the ceiling. And that's how you make a wall. And then we're just going to make the remaining walls by extruding from this one. And that's roughly how it goes. From that point onward, you just gotta decorate it, like use some textures and lighting to give it a theme, place some NPCs, items and whatnot. I mean, you're trying to design a level after all. We'll stick to the geometric aspect of it for now. I'll talk about texturing in another video because there's a lot that can be said for that. Now, there's a few problems we may encounter. One is how to handle diagonal walls, and the other is, well, how to handle non-rectangular walls like on this ramp here. What I like to do is to follow an axis. Here's what I mean. I'm going to clone this wall here and simply skew this. It's much quicker without any side effects. Now, you may get the urge to be quote-unquote correct about it and do this. This is what we called mitred corners, I think, if I pronounced it right. And let me tell you, from my experience, that's just a waste of time. You're not going to gain anything from it. Unless you're maybe building a house in an outdoor area where this wall will be seen from both the exterior and the interior. That is a valid use case, and it might save you a little bit of time applying textures. Other times you might be building a curve, and that's also when this makes perfect sense. But for interiors, there's no need to do that. It's just a waste of time. However, in TrenchBroom, there is one little trick you can use in certain cases, and that is to select two faces and Control J. That's going to create a new brush between them. Jack could never. As for non-rectangular walls, honestly, you can just leave it as is. Like, the map compiler is basically going to cut this brush appropriately because, like, that's just how VSP works. But if you really need to free up some space below the ramp, like you might have a room underneath that doesn't architecturally make sense, but hey, it's a game, that's okay. You can just move the vertices up, or in TrenchBroom you can make use of its 3-point clipping, so you clip anything that's underneath the face. Anyway, to recap, you can start off with a floor plan, or not, it's up to you, and then you build the floor, then you clone the floor into the ceiling, and then you build walls. And later on, you're going to be building more sophisticated ceilings or maybe slanted walls, and feel free to experiment with that. I mean, best of luck to you. Hold on, gotta drink some water first. Okay. Now, I'm gonna assume you've also made the other couple rooms. That's great, but we have a problem. We got no passages between these rooms. So we should probably learn how to punch holes into walls so we can put doors there in a future video. We're gonna start off by making a door-like brush first. It is going to be our helper. Now, doors in Half-Life are typically 96 by 64 units, though your mileage may vary. It depends on, you know, you may have a different standard, you're probably making a total conversion. It doesn't matter. Now, we're going to make two vertical cuts in the wall, and here's what we're going to do. Take the middle piece, shrink it towards the ceiling, take the helper brush, move it downwards, and shrink it to make the floor brush, and we have a passage. This is how you're going to connect a lot of rooms. I mean, there's a lot of ways to approach it. Like, here's one example, and here's another. Like, it's rather open-ended, so don't worry about the exact specifics of how your edges are going to meet. It's whatever, so don't overthink it. Anyway, it would be pretty cool to have a view into this barrel in the middle of this all, so let's punch a hole into a couple diagonal walls over here. Oh boy, diagonal cuts, imagine that. But don't worry, the procedure should be simple enough. You basically make two vertical cuts at this diagonal angle, and then you make two horizontal cuts. You can then remove the middle piece, and you have yourself a window. This is how you make windows. Speaking of windows, I use NixOS, by the way. For fun, let's also make some stairs. You can start off by making a brush that's maybe 12 units tall and 16 units long, or maybe 8 units tall. That's up to you. Like, different stairs simply have a different feel. Mind you, the ratio between length and height is going to dictate the angle of your staircase, so just look out for that. Anyway, you are going to cut this diagonally from the side and start copy pasting to form the staircase. Very neat. Then there is going to be a ramp underneath all of this to carry the stairs, essentially. This is a very common pattern. This is how we do stairs. Usually it doesn't have to be a triangle ramp. It can be like a rotated platform, if you get what I mean. I can't say too much else right now, except maybe the fact that they aren't really optimized. This is going to make cuts in the BSP tree. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. Basically, the idea is if you have large structural geometry, it is structural and that's fine. But anything that isn't like big or structural, it's more decorative and whatnot, like pipes, for example, that's what you gotta turn into func detail. There's a whole game to this optimization thing, but this is how you start out. TrenchBroom didn't have built-in shapes a couple years ago. Stuff like cylinders, arches, spheres, and such, that just wasn't a thing. You had to do it manually or go to this CZG website and, copy and paste them. And that was, J.A.C.K's main advantage over TrenchBroom for a long period of time, but it's no longer a thing. It's got everything now. It's basically on par with J.A.C.K, maybe even better in some regards. Anyway, when you work with shapes that aren't just cuboids, you're typically going to have a number of sides at the very least. So a cylinder is going to have a number of sides, an arch is going to have a number of sides. But for now, we're going to place down 2 or 3 pipes. It's going to be a large one and a couple small ones. And for optimization reasons, I would suggest 12 or 16 sides for the large pipe and 8 for the slightly smaller ones. And if this was really small, I'd go even lower, like 6 sides or something. Texturing, again, another video, but for now I'm just going to show you how to wrap the textures around a cylinder. In TrenchBroom, you're just going to basically select a texture and then hold a certain key combo and just sweep with your left mouse button all over the neighboring faces, and that's going to wrap them automatically. In J.A.C.K, it would be a slightly different story, where you select one, alt-click the other, then select that one, and alt-click the next one until you get to the other side of the cylinder. Now, I do gotta say, there's always gonna be that one little seam on the other side of the cylinder. So our workaround, very creative workaround for now, is that the seam is gonna be somewhere in the back where it cannot be seen. There is a proper solution, but right now, workaround time. And also, obviously, don't forget to turn these into func detail. Well, I think that's about it for this one. In the next video, I'm going to focus a lot more on brush errors. I'm sure you're going to encounter quite a few of these while trying to map out this stuff. In fact, I kind of count on it. I was working on a much broader version of this video where I had a lot more going on than just rooms, like I was talking about the grid, convexity, planar surfaces and stuff, but it was too much. So I had to cut it down a bit and save some stuff for a next video. It happens. For homework, you can take any floor plan and try to build it as a map, or try to copy my design here. That's all up to you. Just make something.